Final Fantasy XIV Online is a massive multiplayer game available on both consoles as well as on PC. The game was initially released in September of 2010, but shortly shut down in November of 2012. While the graphics were not the issue leading up to the shutdown, the gameplay and overall experience were flawed. Not even a whole year later, in a different directory, publisher Square Enix came out with Final Fantasy XIV A Realm Reborn, which received huge success. While the game and the story remained the same, major gameplay changes were made and the overall player experience was improved. Over the last 8 years, Final Fantasy XIV Online has received 4 expansions: Heavensward in 2015, Stormblood in 2017, Shadowbringer in 2019, and Endwalker is set to release in fall of 2021. The game is getting regular new content and updates to not only attract new players to the game, but also keep existing players online. Word has it that with the expansion of Endwalker later this year, anyone can visit any data center. Data centers are the servers that players are locked into, with enabling players to move between servers without losing your character or starting over will certainly attract a lot more players that felt stuck in low population servers. Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. My name is Luke, if we haven't met before, and today I want to talk to you about Final Fantasy XIV A Realm Reborn and if it is actually still worth getting into in 2021, or is it maybe too late to jump on the train? Let's take a look. When I first heard about Final Fantasy XIV, it was on my search for a new MMO after I decided that World of Warcraft was no longer working for me. So I looked into Final Fantasy XIV Online, but I was thinking, is it still worth getting into? So what does it mean, is it worth getting into? Well, first, you have to see, is the game a good fit for you? Some aspects that Final Fantasy has to offer and that makes it different from other games is the main storyline of the game. While you are questing through the main storyline, you are not only gaining a lot of experience, allowing you to level up and creating your job and getting your new abilities and skills, whatnot, but you're also getting beautiful cutscenes that are really detailed and immersive, as well as voice acted, which was a huge surprise to me. The storyline is basically turning a MMORPG into a single player experience. Anyone can quest through the main storyline without even needing a group, a guild, or a set of friends to grind things out. What the main storyline does really well is more or less holding your hand. It's introducing a lot of systems that are in the game and that you will need to learn more in detail later on. It introduces these systems to you and introduces you to dungeons, it introduces you to training, to your role, to how to handle dungeons, and properly be part of the MMO experience. Besides the beautiful graphics, the music, and the really immersive storyline, a key factor about Final Fantasy XIV is that you only ever need one character. You will never need to create an alt. This was a huge problem for me in World of Warcraft, where I couldn't decide what kind of class or spec or profession I wanted to play, so I had to make an alt, a different character, for every single class that I wanted to experience. In Final Fantasy XIV, you do not need to do that. One character can literally do it all. Your job or your specification, your skills are dependent on the equipment that you wear. So if you change your equipment, you will turn into a completely different class. So you can go from a healer to a tank in no time, or from a tank to a damage dealer, from a mage to a warrior to a rogue. All you need to do is have the proper equipment and you will switch over. That being said, you also don't have to go through the main storyline over and over again. Where again, in World of Warcraft, yes, there are multiple ways to level a character, but at some point you will run into repeating quests over and over again with every single character that you have. In Final Fantasy XIV, there are multiple ways to level up your different job classes. You don't need to create a whole new character, you still have access to your mounts and to your money and to your travel system, to exploration. So make sure you really grind out that character customization at the beginning, which again was a huge plus. You can really detail down the character that you want to play in the game. Now let's take a look at hard facts. Are people even still playing Final Fantasy XIV after 8 years of it being online? Like I said, the game has gotten content over the last 8 years. There have been 4 expansions, well, 3 out, 1 planned at the time of filming this video. but content is constantly released and updates are constantly rolling out for the game. As of right now, the player base of Final Fantasy XIV, if we're going by MMOplayerbase.com, is higher than it has ever been. Ever since the launch of Final Fantasy XIV Realm Reborn, player base has steadily increased and is still ever increasing. With a maximum registered players, registered, not active, registered players of 25 million players. Let's take a look at the price of Final Fantasy XIV. And here comes kinda the cracker, because it is a pretty pricey MMORPG. While you do not only have to buy the base game, plus the expansions, you also need to hold an active subscription similar to World of Warcraft. The base game runs you on Steam for about $20, which includes a Realm Reborn, which brings you up to level 60. And if you purchase any expansion, I would highly suggest that you buy the base game and then hold on until you can buy the expansions for Endwalker, so you don't have to buy the current expansions and Endwalker over when it comes out. But with every expansion that you buy, you will get all previous content unlocked, obviously, as well. You don't need to go back and buy every single expansion separately, the same way World of Warcraft does it. If you buy Shadowbringers, you will have all the content from the other expansions that they had over the past few years, plus the base game. The monthly subscription, similar to World of Warcraft, runs you anywhere from $12 to $15 a month, and you can cancel it at any time if you decide to not play or take a break. In my opinion, Final Fantasy XIV is a great game to get into. What I think they did really well is take a huge map and not only design it beautifully, but take a huge map and split it up into different sections that you can travel through, level through, quest through. And even if you have to cross through different sections of the map to get to where you need to go for your quest, it never feels like a grind to get from A to B, something that was really ticking me off in World of Warcraft. Within the city, they have a travel system, the Ethernet, where you can just travel between all the different merchants in there, or hubs close to the merchants. And then you also have your mounts, your basic riding mounts and your flying mounts to get you from A to B, which also will be unlocked as you play through the main storyline. Who is Final Fantasy XIV for? I think Final Fantasy XIV, while it is really for anybody and everybody, I guess, it really is for the people that played maybe World of Warcraft and ended up playing more or less alone, couldn't find the right community to vibe with or to get into. Final Fantasy XIV does a really good job at holding your hand and walking you through everything the game has to offer as a single player experience. So you can sit down and you can simply go through the game, and you will team up with people in dungeons, or when you do like Fate, which is like world missions, so to speak, or world bosses. You will still have the player interaction, but you are able to progress through the game at a good pace just by yourself. While currently the game is not free to play, at least not free to try, Final Fantasy XIV is planning on making the game free to play all the way through A Realm Reborn, which means level 60, once the new expansions and Endwalker will drop later in the fall of 2021, meaning they are getting a leg up over World of Warcraft, which is currently only free to play until level 20. In my opinion, Final Fantasy XIV Online Realm Reborn, that is a mouthful, is really worth playing in 2021. The new expansion is coming out, jumping into the game right now and getting caught up with where you need to be and getting ready to jump into the new expansions is just the perfect time. The game is as populated as it has ever been, and I will leave you down in the description also a list of how to choose the realm, or how I went about choosing the right data center and then choosing the right server in the data center, so that I will end up in a populated server and not in a low population server. But with the new expansions coming out, anyone will be able to travel across data centers, so people that are stuck in low population servers will also be able to have the experience and go to the data center where there's more population going on. I am really excited for Endwalker. I'm really excited to progress even further through the game. And like I said, currently free to try on their website as well as on Steam. Link down in the description below if you want to click that. Not affiliated, not sponsored. I would just highly recommend you try out the game. This is it with the video. If you want to go through Final Fantasy XIV together, make sure you stop by my Twitch channel, which is down in the description below as well. And if you liked the video, you found something occasional, funny, or really just had a good time hanging out here, let me know down in the comments below and by smashing the like button. I appreciate you guys being here. I'll catch you next time.